You're listening to My Grito Podcast Network, celebrating the culture of Chicanos and Latinos one story and voice at a time. Listen to more My Grito Podcast Network shows over at mygrito.net. Connect on social, on Instagram and Facebook at My Grito, the My Grito Podcast Network.
The Mind Buzz, now partnered with My Grito Industries.
3, 2, 1. Mr. Peter Cervantes, how are you?
I'm doing great. Doing just great.
Thanks for coming out and doing the podcast.
Definitely. It is quite an honor to be asked to come out to podcast with, with yourself. And I think these are the things that one likes, is subject to do when, they're doing social media work. But it's also fun, and it's very exciting to know that, you're going to get interviewed and, you're going to get asked these questions. And, if you're open and honest with the person that's asking the questions, then it's a lot funner and it's a lot, it's something to get excited about. Definitely.
Absolutely. The truth is always fun.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes it's better than some of the white lies that people make.
Yeah, definitely.
Peter, you have this cool Instagram page that you run, Chicano State of Mind.
Yes, Chicana State of Mind. It's a platform in which I'd like to push the empowerment and the culture of our people. And it's I started a while ago, but it was out of actually my necessity to feel pride in our culture and our people. It was very difficult to find something like that. So I just said to myself, why don't I just create one? And then that's, how it came about. But yeah.
Isn't that wild that a lot of great things happen that way?
Yes.
Like some of the best inventions were because of nobody having a light bulb.
Right.
Or nobody having electricity.
Definitely. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's, you read into some of the things that when I do start doing research on history and stuff, I start finding things that, like you just said, did you know that the light bulb was invented because of this situation, right, or stuff like that? And it's very interesting to read about those facts and those history.
I wonder where socks came from.
You know what? I know.
That's what I think in the shower.
I always kind of think like, when back in the days when the Romans used to wear the skirts, Yeah. I'm like, how did someone come about wearing pants? And I'm like, don't they get cold when they're out there, when they're out there fighting, and, it's just weird. Like, the wind can blow up and, up goes their skirt. And, I'm like, well, I'm thankful that they're probably thankful that they made pants. So maybe, I don't know, but yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. When you came into the studio, you were fascinated with the art from our friend Jesse JFR.
Yes.
It kind of looks like your T-shirt.
It's a
yes.
shirt,
Yeah. So I'm very fascinated with anything that has to do with prehistoric America, indigenous culture, especially when it gets to creativity like that.
Oh yeah,
that art where they mash the things that we grew up with, and then the things that are based on our culture.
Oh, you're gonna love Jesse. Yeah. You're gonna love Jesse's art.
All right. Well, I hope I get to meet him someday.
Yeah, he's really cool. See if you can pull up some of his stuff so Peter can see more of his artwork. He has a booth right now at the LA County Fair.
Oh, okay.
He's going to be there until the end of May. I think he has another week.
Okay.
Of that. But look at his Instagram. He's like super fascinated into aliens.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. That's him right there. Oh, that's him doing actually a painting. Of that one, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think that one's basically the same concept, but just tweaked a little bit. And he adds a lot of, he uses like that type of, culturistic type of art, that's
right
in our culture. And he he modernizes them.
Oh, that's neat. He's using the what is that? South Park, and then meshing it with the Popocatépetl. And, that's really cool. I mean, it looks you look at it and it's kind of funny, but at the same time, I think it's really cool. It's creativity.
Yeah,
because obviously, one of the things is that we don't see ourselves in that. And when the images come out, when there's a show, you don't see that, and then to see it and someone create it, it's pretty exciting.
Oh yeah, that's my personal favorite one right there, the middle one, which I have a canvas piece of that.
Oh yes,
too.
Right here.
That is there's a history behind that, and it's just kind of interesting. The little bit of that I know, they call it, I believe, palenque sarcófagos, in which the individual that's in there right now, obviously the alien that's in there, right? But the individual is supposed to be skyrocketing to space. The concept that the Aztecs or the Mayas had this way before anybody. There's the story behind it. I haven't researched it enough to really look into it, but it's a very interesting stone carving that they found. But just that itself, what he just did with that's pretty neat.
Yeah, with the alien. Amber, see if you can pull up the actual picture that he modeled that after.
What?
I believe it's called palenque sarcófagos. So it's PA, and sarcófagos, it's SA. I think that's it right there on top, right there. Yeah, that's it right there.
There you go.
So the first time I came across this thing, I was watching Ancient Aliens.
Oh, okay.
And when the guy was describing what this looked like, and he was explaining it, like I was watching this, and he was explaining it that this guy's in like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And then there's like this little thing. See if we can get up. Oh yeah, right there. Flipped over to
Which one?
for that size, the top one. Yeah. So see the thing like going up his nose? That's like
yeah,
like oxygen, right?
Yeah.
And then his toes right there are like trying to maneuver this type of
that is true. Look at that
type of thing, and then like right here,
yeah.
you can see the smoke.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I never really paid attention to that
Yeah.
till right now that you're pointing it out, and that's amazing. That's just these are the things that I believe Chicana State of Mind is about, is to bring those out, the stories like that, and there's just so much. There's so much.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I want to, hopefully this year, I want to go check out some ruins or Mayan ruins or something like that. There's some. Well, which ones were you talking about, Amber? That
I've seen Chichen Itza and
yeah, I want to see that.
Yes.
But I know. I mean, they span all over Mexico. I want to see the ones in Mexico City. I want to see. I think there's like some in like Chiapas and like things like that. So
Right.
we definitely want to hit all of those and see.
Yes. I believe Mexico has one of the largest pyramid. I'm not sure if is as far as the length and diameter of it, not necessarily higher, but large, as in huge, bigger than one of the pyramids in Egypt. And I believe Mexico has that, and I'm not sure if it's Chichen Itza or it's another one, but it's definitely has a lot more mass than the one in Egypt. So it's very interesting when you find those facts. You're like, wow, this is history that I wasn't taught.
Isn't that interesting that most of the interesting stuff we didn't get taught in school?
Right. Yeah, and it's definitely. Once you start discovering all these things, you start feeling there's a sense of prideness or a sense of, wow, my ancestors came from that. So that means I'm part of it. I may be part European because of the Spanish conquest, right? But still, you can't help to feel pride in when you discover these kinds of things when you start reading them or researching them, and it gives you a sense of pride.
Yeah, it gets you a sense of pride because, I mean, maybe you didn't know that, like, at first, right? You didn't know. I mean, take for instance the pyramids,
right?
Or even a better example is the Museum of Mummies in Guanajuato, Mexico.
Oh yes.
Okay,
yes.
right.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that up until I got a Ancestry.com DNA test.
Oh, wow.
So back then, I'm pretty sure that the percentage has lowered now that more information is being developed. But when I got the results for that, I was 80% indigenous Mexican from Guanajuato.
Wow.
So from when I got the results, it pulled up like a link of Guanajuato, and then it was giving all these different points of like the fascinating things about Guanajuato, and that was just awesome. And that was the interesting thing was the museum, dude, that they had these mummified bodies in like the soil over like spanned over how long? I don't. I think they're just like all shallow graves, right?
Okay.
But the dirt was so rich in minerals that it mummified all these different peoples.
It helped preserve them.
And helped preserve them.
Okay.
So that's why they were able to extract all these mummies after hundreds and of years, was because the soil and everything, the minerals, it worked as like a mummification for them. So it was really cool to. Have you ever seen it?
No, but it's interesting. The way I found out about the mummies in Guanajuato was because when I was married, my ex-wife is from Guanajuato, and I kept, when people would ask me, "Well, where's your wife from?" Back then, I said, "Oh, Guanajuato," and they say, "Oh, ¿dónde están las momias?" And I'm like,
"Es una momia or something."
Well, yeah, I'm like, what are they talking about? It's like, I mean, that's in Egypt, but I had no idea that they were talking about the momias in Guanajuato until I started researching. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's mummies in Guanajuato, and you're like, you think that it's only the history in other places, but the history is right next door,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was very interesting.
Like you were saying about being really like proud, right?
Right.
I feel like I've the more I learn, I'm even like prouder.
Mm-hmm.
But then also the sadness sinks in, right?
Yes.
It's like I'm so proud, and then I feel like really sad, and I'll tell you why I feel sad too, because I feel like our ancestors and everything, like all these things that they created, even saying like they kind of pioneered like math, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they, with like the calendar and things like that,
Right.
the what is it called? Like Xochimilco, right? They were like some of the first to pioneer like the aqueducts type of thing and growing on top and everything.
Yeah.
But it makes me sad because I always think like, imagine if they wouldn't have gotten, the conquistadores would have never come over. Like what kind of other technology could we have had? How much could they have helped our earth and our, everybody evolve? Like it just was a standstill of, that's it. Like it's done. And I think, we can never go back, but that's where like the sadness also settles in for me.
Yes, definitely. And I also think that certain times people, when they start doing that research or start finding these, a certain, I wouldn't say madness, but a certain anger starts developing. And if you don't, I believe that if you can't control that anger, it starts becoming hate towards people. And even though people can be ignorant and not know, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, you had a history or whatever it may be, there's a certain resentment growing inside you. And I believe if you don't manage that, or if you don't have a control sense of, understanding that these things happen, but it's not like, it's the person in the corner's fault, because he happens to be white or whatever, and you start having that resentment. I think it's just we need to reflect and think and say, okay, how can we make it better, or how can we make it where we all are not ignorant of such things, you know? But the sadness also, she's right. The sadness can build up. I think it's just a matter of just reflecting and saying, okay, well, now I know these things. Why don't I, help spread the word, right? Instead of trying to grow a certain resentment. And I don't necessarily, I'm not trying to bring down anything or anyone that's, trying to make changes, but I've seen it before over and over and over. I see it when I work the platform. I'll put out something nice or something educational, and I can see the comments, and you start like, oh my gosh, what did I trigger? I was just trying to educate. Mm-hmm. And then you start seeing that you trigger these emotions or it's resentment or just, and I could give a perfect example. One time I posted about Marilyn Monroe, right? She's an American icon, a blonde, and, it's just the figure of American, history and film and stuff like that. But I didn't know that Marilyn Monroe's mother was born in Mexico, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I must have missed that post. That's wild.
Yeah. It's very, because she was an orphan, and so her history is not very, it's not, there's not a lot of it.
It's not documented
right
as much.
So, you start digging and you see that, and I posted that, right? I posted and I was like, it's just something to be educational, but not something that, check this out, everybody, no. It was more about an educational, and I'm sure it was, my intention was to be like, wow, that's interesting. Nobody knows those, these are the things that are not told. So then I start seeing these comments about like,
what would the comments would be? Well, I mean, what would the comments be?
There was one comment that said, oh, so what? Now is she's supposed to be a trophy for us or something? And I was like, that wasn't the intent. The intent was to educate and say, look, this is what's going on. This is the history that a lot of us don't know. And I had to put a post after it and say, listen, this post was educational. It wasn't meant to arouse or, get people going. You guys need to calm down. It was just a post about, Marilyn Monroe. And so I just felt that it was just, I could see that there was a lot of resentment, and which I was talking about is when you start discovering these things, that the anger builds up on certain people, So I thought it was very interesting to see that. But at the same time, I also learned, okay, well, if I'm going to present these kind of educational, I should also, have some kind of
like disclaimer or something.
Or something to let people know, look, it's not my intention to start, this type of talk.
But I feel like you don't even do you have to do that like all the time?
No, not all the
why?
time. I did it at that time because I felt that I wanted to, I was still, my platform was still growing. Mm-hmm. It was not as big as it is now. It was still growing. And I wanted people to understand that there was a message. The message is, listen, there's a lot of history that we're not told. And there's a reason why, right? But it's not to get everyone upset or everyone to get all crazy or, radically, getting on your case. It's to educate, and these are things that should just kind of trigger a wokeness to say, oh, wow, what else is not being told? Well, let me look at this and let me look at that and let me start researching. The point was to start getting people to trigger to educate themselves. Right, not necessarily get all hyped up or mad, but stuff like that.
I think that's the initial reaction to something so profound like that. If the person receiving the new information on the other side is not open to hearing new information, any new information that goes against what their beliefs or values are at that time of receiving the new information, it's going to fuck them up. It's going to mess them up because they're taking this new information and they're saying this goes against my beliefs,
right.
but then this also goes against my values. This goes against who I am as a person. This post goes against me.
Yes. And I think you're right. They took it a little bit personal.
Yes.
In which that wasn't, but I learned from it. That was the point as well for me, is I learned, okay, I don't need to respond to everything that comes out. Okay. I can also choose my battles as well and still be professional about it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want the platform to also be, is professional. I necessarily don't like to react and be like, oh, that's local or that's menso.
So that's the thing, dude. So to respond to these different things instead of reacting.
Right.
Right. Because there's two different things. There's a reaction that happens at a split second, and then there's also responding to something, and that's taken lightly. That's take some time to receive something, think about it, and then respond.
Yes, exactly.
With a little bit of thought.
Yes.
Because I don't get how that's just wild. Like, to me, I'm like, whoa, that's really cool.
Right.
Marilyn Monroe's mom is Mexican?
Yeah. And
is this true?
Well, she was born in Mexico, but she was still Caucasian. She was
she was Mexican born.
Mexican born, but she like, it wasn't like she was Mexican. She was just born in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
So it's just an interesting fact. Right. It's like, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's wild.
I was like, wow, and you can actually see it on the birth certificate. It'll say, if you look at her birth certificate, it'll say, her mom born in Mexico. And it's like, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So would she be considered Mexican?
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Right?
I think they are, because you're born in that country.
Right.
It's also like the actor Lupita. Do you know who I'm talking about? She's she's like African descent, but her parents were missionaries in Mexico. So she happened to be born in Mexico when they were there. So she has dual citizenship. She was born in Mexico. She had to, get U.S. citizenship and everything. So she's considered Mexican. I mean, I like you said, I don't know how far it goes, right? Because it's not like lineage, but you're still born, I guess, in that country. I don't know.
Right.
But that's what I heard, but I could be wrong.
No, and I think what it is. It's so much as to, like, you hear about, that Marilyn Monroe is just a huge American icon. The picture of American, a blonde and beautiful, sexy, whatever, and then you get hit with that fact, and it's to some people, like you said, they won't take it lightly. And they'll be like, oh, what now? You think she's Mexican? And it just kind of goes like...
She's Latina now.
Yeah, and then people
We had a Latina in the White House, ladies and gentlemen. There was a Latina that was with JFK.
Yes.
Do you notice, like, on like your platform, like, what's the response to most of your posts from people? Like, is it like 50-50 or like that? Like you were saying, like, do a lot of people get upset? Like, is it more? Because I feel like now when I see social media and I go to the comment section of anything, right? Mm-hmm. And even like ourselves, my family owns a business, and even just seeing sometimes the comments, like they can really break you down, right? And it's kind of heart-wrenching. Like, I remember one time we did something, and then people were like, oh, they don't know what to invent anymore. Oh, they don't know what to do anymore. Oh, that's not Mexican. Oh, that's not, like, and it's kind of sad because it's our own people putting ourselves down, instead of being a little more uplifting and being like, hey, I'm proud of you guys, or hey, I'm proud of this, or I'm proud to be represented in, maybe a place that I'm not, or things like that. But how is that on, like, your platform?
So,
like, what do you see?
I learned very quickly not to, how you said, react to a lot of those comments. And one of the things I learned also is when to post and when to respond. So let's say that Monday morning I'm going to work. I'm not going to post something that's going to trigger a lot of comments and emotions because I won't be able to respond because I'll be at work, right? So sometimes I'll wait to the end of the day at work after I'm done with work, and then I'll post it so I can respond and respond educationally, respond respectfully. Because sometimes, I do see the comments like you just said, and you start getting all, the reaction. Yeah. So I would say that the majority of comments, I would say maybe about 80% are pretty positive most of the time. But
it's a good ratio.
Yeah, there
80-20?
Yeah, there is a few that come out. Their approach is, like she just said.
Right.
So one of the things I learned to do is one is either if I find it offensive in a way where their approach is very derogatory or something, I'll delete it and I'll block the person because I really don't have time to react to that kind of energy. Because if the platform is about positivity, then that's where I'm going to keep it at it. And so even if I know the person or something, I'll still block them and I'll let them know, look, your approach is not, where this platform is going. So either I'll delete the comment and you think about what you're going to do next time, or I'll block you because I don't find it feasible to react to those comments all the time. Maybe once in a while, but I learned really quick that drains your energy. And if you're about moving forward and, positivity, then you can't really necessarily take that personal and take it to a reaction of, oh my gosh, well, he said this and I'm going to, I just in my mind, I'll say, hey, thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. But in my mind, I'm like, no mames way,
Yeah.
But then definitely I try to be as professional as I can, even though it's not like a company or something.
Yeah, of course.
I just want to be professional as best as I can.
Absolutely, because it's your brand.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And you want to fall in line with what you believe in, what your mission is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I remember what the post was that sent everyone
which one?
Going crazy with us. So it was last year. See, and it's sad because this year I didn't want to do it again because of the response from last year. But last year for Women's Month, I had people kind of tag women in their life that were doing amazing things in the community or just overall. And we went ahead and we highlighted someone every day, right? And I created this post and I highlighted them, added their Instagram, socials, and everything. But I know this is going to be very controversial because I feel like it's very controversial.
Bring it.
Which I don't understand why, but I mean, to each their own. But I had put the Latinx, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it just it ran like wildfire.
Wait,
right?
hold on. So you wrote that on the post?
Yeah, I wrote it on the post. That's what it was. It was
so share your favorite Latinx woman.
I can't think on the top of my head how it was stated, but I know that that's the word that I used, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was
when was this?
This was sometime last year or the year before. I'm not too sure. No, you know what? It wasn't last year. It was a year before that.
So what, 2021?
2021. Right? And it was I'm never going to support your business again. Mm-hmm. This is ridiculous. Say Mexican, say Latina, say Latino. This is ridiculous. I'll never take my family there again. Is this type of people you are? You're trying to erase our history. Every other thing was like this. And then there was people fighting in there. And I was just I remember that. And again, like you guys said, we've been in business for 7 years and we've had people, of all walks of life. And I thought I was over feeling, this reacting, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I cried because I thought to myself, this is supposed to be a moment and something to highlight something great and people in our community, and we're over here fixated on a fucking word.
Yeah, exactly.
You're saying, obviously it sounds bad, but we're not going to go bankrupt for one person that doesn't come to our business. But it was still you have so much hate in you that you can say, I'm not going to, support you because you use this word. Like, to me, it was just like mind-boggling. But I know that word is triggering, and
yes.
I mean, I get it, but it wasn't my intent to be triggering.
And if I may say, I've had that where I've used that word before, and I just found it, like you said, just people start going off on you, and you're like, oh, I thought your platform was about Chicano or Chicana, stuff, and here you're writing Latinx or Latino or Latina, and I'm like, it triggers people. But I think one of the things that we got to understand that social media is also entertainment, right? So people sometimes have nothing better to do than to just create chaos, and that's just, maybe that's a like you could say, a dopamine. Dopamine is to create that kind of environment, because maybe they're used to it. Say that. And so, unfortunately,
that's a good point, that they're used to it. That they want it.
Yeah, that they
crave that.
So, I think it hurts. Not necessarily platforms that are just driven on that kind of agenda, but it does hurt businesses. But I think, like she said, most of our people that hurt us, or most of the people that are our own kind. And that's very unfortunate. Our own kind. They're the first ones to come at us, and the last ones to ask for any kind of forgiveness, or, any kind of, hey, I apologize.
Why do you think that's the case all the time?
It's a very hard question to answer, but I think a lot has
just from your experience.
From my experience, I think a lot has to do in, it might cause people to trigger here, but a lot of us have trauma. A lot of us carry trauma most of our lives, and we don't. It might be little trauma, but that little trauma grew into a big ball of of just feelings, emotions that you probably never looked into or felt that dealt with. I see a lot of people, they're very quick to come out and criticize you and say things, and not necessarily think about what they're saying. They're just saying it. I don't have an answer as to why are people all the first ones to do that, but it is the truth. It's a fact. That's what happens. Most of my supporters, or big supporters, are my own people, but most of the most criticized supporters are my own people as well. So it's just something that we, it's just part of it, part of having a social media, and part of, trying to grow and progress.
The Mind Buzz is powered by Mind Buzz Media. Mind Buzz Media is an on-site video and audio podcast production company. Have you ever thought about starting your own video and audio podcast? Or do you have an existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Mind Buzz Media brings a professional podcast studio to you. Visit mindbuzz.org for more.
Yeah. There's a lot of different factors that you have to think about.
Yes.
Even before posting.
Yes. There's a lot. There's a lot of, and it's, you're like, well, it's just the post. But we gotta understand that this is going everywhere. It gets shared. Everyone sees it,
Yeah.
And you don't understand the impact of that until you start seeing the reactions and the responses, and you're like, oh, sometimes even a bad response is actually not necessarily a good response, but it's a response that you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that this person was watching.
Yeah.
And then you get more excited about that than about the bad response.
I can see that.
Yeah. So, I've definitely.
That usually happens.
Yeah.
When you least expect it.
Yeah.
You're like, this is going to be a good post. This reel is going to be a good one. and then you get some
yes.
get some hate for that.
Yeah, but it's I think it's just part of having a platform, and understand that the bigger you grow, the more you're gonna have of that.
Yeah.
It's also a level of responsibility to know that as many people as they want to say, oh, if I had a big platform, I would do this or I would do that, but not until you get to that level, then you understand that there's a certain responsibility that comes with it. And it's not so much that it's like, oh, I don't want it. It's that you realize that what you're doing is having an impact, whether it's good or bad, it's having an impact. You start realizing that really quick as you grow.
When did you find that out about your Instagram?
One of the things that that told me that it was reaching out to people I didn't know was when someone reached out to me and told me, I haven't seen this person in a long time, and I know that it's not your responsibility, but can you please post about this person, because I they were kind of like just really sad about what was going on, that they haven't seen I think it was a missing girl that had been missing for a while. And just the fact that she came out and told me, I really would appreciate if you did this for us. It's our last hope. No one else wants to come out and say anything or share it. And I thought up to that level, I was like, wow, she came to me because she believed that I was some kind of hope to bringing her daughter back, and I was like, wow, that was pretty impactful for me, because I was like, wow, so those kind of things kind of woke me up and said, oh, wow, you're having an impact on your community, whether you realize it or not. If people are coming for you for help because they have no other choice, then you understand that there's a certain level that you're reaching, sometimes also just small likes of celebrities also lets you know that it's being watched out there. I've had certain actors like my post. I don't necessarily like to float it out, or you know how people would like to circle it and put it out there.
Oh yeah,
I don't like to do that, because I think it's just it's just an honor just for them to do something like that. But I've had certain actors come and like their post. I've had certain, like, I don't want to say who they are, but certain companies that are really big into the culture reach out and say, hey, I really like what you post. I really like what you're doing out there. Keep doing it. And that's really impactful as well. Yeah. Especially big, I would say big media that you didn't think that they would reach out to you.
Tell me off air. I'm intrigued now. I gotta know.
Yeah, I'll have to tell you off air because I can't really say it. I only out of respect for that.
No, absolutely.
Of
course.
But yeah, it's definitely. And then also, I think one time this one I can say because she's no longer with them, but from Univision, one of the journalists, I started working with her in stories. And to me, I grew up watching that journalist at home, because when I was younger, I would see her on TV. And just to know that we were collaborating together to bring out stories, it felt good, because it told me that I'm doing something to make or to try to make a change. And, she's just talking to me like a regular person. But obviously to me, I was like, wow. I remember watching her on TV, and
you're starstruck.
Yeah, and here she is talking to me about things that she wants to talk about, and so that was really nice. She actually came out to my daughter's quinceañera, which was even better. Because,
wow,
like wow, someone that you never thought that would be part of what you're doing is part of what you're doing.
I think we need more people like that. We need more leaders. We need more people to fill those roles for the younger generation.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, definitely. It's sometimes you look at some of these platforms and you see how they're growing, but do you really see them doing stuff that's for the community, or do you see them doing it for clout? And sometimes you can tell, but other times you're like, wow, this person's really doing something. So when you see that, it gives you also a sense of pride. But you're right, we do need more of that, not just one or two people. Yeah. We need a lot more.
Because we can have influencers all year.
Right.
For the next 10 years, for the next 25 years. But if they're not serving like a purpose, or if they're not progressing for their, if they don't have a mission statement, or not necessarily a mission statement, but
like a goal,
of trying to reach something.
So, yes, right? Definitely. Yeah. And you can tell, you can see when you see it on social media, you can tell when those things are happening. And, I keep it to myself. I don't like to talk about other platforms simply because I just give them the respect, their space that they deserve, right? But to fall into that, oh, well, this person said this, and I really don't look forward to that or try to get myself involved in that, because it's also it drains your energy.
Absolutely. And it clouds your brain and your mind to actually function and to create, right?
Yes.
Like when I'm scrolling and I scroll, and sometimes I'll be scrolling for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I think to myself, so I'm supposed to be a creator. I'm not a consumer. Right now I'm being a consumer, and I need to back off of this thing.
I think you hit it right on target, and I'm at fault at times like that, because I'll be looking at Instagram scrolling, and before you know it, I'm looking at things that are like non-essential to what I'm trying to do. And I'm like, how did I get to here? It's because you consume. It's consuming.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think you just gotta be aware that that's happening. Because it consumes you. Social media consumes you, and there are times when I get very with so much of that, I get depressed. And it's not like, oh, I'm depressed every day. It's seeing news after news after news of what's going on. Things like, oh, a street vendor got shot, and then there's a mass shooting, or it's all like one after the other. And you start just seeing that, and it starts getting you. It starts like eating on you. That it's like taking a piece of your energy, and if you're not careful, it can definitely consume you.
How was your pandemic?
My pandemic.
Because I feel like that was at an all-time high when people were at home.
Yes.
Watching TV, consuming social media, consuming Netflix and Amazon Prime and HBO Max and all the other 2,554 type of different media that we have.
For me, actually, I didn't really get much affected because I was still working.
Oh, okay.
I was still working. My work allowed me to still be able to be out there and work because I don't have a lot of contact with other people than, and it, they labeled our type of work as essential, right? So I was still working out there. But however, it did take a toll on my personal side of my family, and it definitely hindered a lot. And so on that side, it was not good at all. But on the side, as far as me working, I was still working, and it also gave me time that's when I grew the most, because I was able to put out content that I knew people were going to watch or see. But also that's when I grew the most as well. So
you grew in a time where there was a lot of people trying to create things, and you had all this free time,
right?
Might as well, right?
Yeah. And I did take advantage of it, but at the same time, I think I also had to think about, okay, well, what direction do I want to take this platform? Because I already made a mission statement as far as what I want to do, but what else can I do to grow it? Like, what else, how can I have a bigger impact on the community? Because actually what was important to me was the community. so much was going on that I wanted to make sure that I can try to do something for my community, even if it was small. Right. So yeah, there was
how'd you get started in doing community work like that?
I think a lot had to do with the platform as well, is people reaching out and saying, hey, listen, we're having this event, can you come out, and or would you like to come? And most of the time I was just excited just to be part of it, just to be mentioned, to come out, and I just would go. I'd go and drive out there and and just do what I do, take pictures, talk to people, start networking in that sense, and start telling them about what our mission or my mission was to do. And a lot of people are very receptive when they feel the same things you do, like the passion that you have. So it was a good feeling. But yeah, it definitely, you have to go out there and work.
And it's totally different when you go out and network at events. There's a different type of feeling to where when you're networking like via Instagram or via the internet. There's different, because you can feel that. You can when you're talking to somebody about like both your goals, like I'll talk about my goal and then that person talks about their goal and what drives them, and it's exactly the same thing that drives you too. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I found my fucking people.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the people that I want to surround myself with to grow. I want them to grow. I want to grow. We can all grow together.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened, is you find people that want to grow just like you, and that and you don't necessarily have to have the same either political views or have such a like a stance on. It's just a matter of, one of the most important things is supporting each other and feeling each other for what you want to do. And I've connected with people that I don't necessarily agree politically wise, but I've connected with those people because they actually just want to be heard, just like us. They want to be heard. So if you are open to listen to what they're saying and not, just stand on just the saying, oh, well, he's a Republican, I'm a Democrat, and just stand on that, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to be able to listen to what they're saying. You don't have to agree, but you have to be able to listen and say, okay, well, this person's feeling this way because of this. Maybe they're not understanding the consequences of this, but if you listen to them, then you can understand why they have a certain view, right? And those are the things I learned when I was out there, exposing myself to events and talking to people. I think one of the first things that I learned quickly as well was being part of protest. That was something that I've always wanted to be part of, but never knew what it was really like to be out there. And that was one of the first wake-up calls, was when I went to a immigration protest, right? And to actually be in a location where they had immigrants locked up in a detention center. Here I think I'm going to go protest and, support my people, but the environment was so powerful and the tension was so strong that you could feel it in the air. And I was like, wow, I'm actually here doing something, but you don't understand the level of being there until you're there, and when they start throwing the smoke grenades and all that stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, this is real.
Whoa.
This is real. They're not playing around.
Did they were they really throwing
Yeah,
smoke
it got
grenades?
to that point. I'm not going to mention the place, but I'm just going to say that when we were there, we caused enough noise that obviously law enforcement came, and there was when they say unlawful gathering, then that's when it's time for you supposed to go, right?
Right.
So just seeing that, hearing that, and just the people, reacting, and the frustration, the anger, and just being there and capturing it all in your, it's such a, it's just something you have to experience if you're going to be part of the community and you want to be help the community, you have to be out there and see what it's like to understand what you're doing. Like I knew then and there, yes, I want to help my community. And if this is what I have to be part of, not necessarily go and destroy stuff, but be there and see what's actually happening, being part of it as far as speaking out, because you don't have to destroy stuff to make a point. But obviously things like that happen in protests, right? So, just being there and seeing, I remember seeing another person that I was there, and they actually went to the door, like actually to the front door, and pounded on the, whatever. And I was like, wow, this is really crazy. This is it. This is Peter. If this is what if you want to make change, you have to be part of it. You don't necessarily have to, destroy things or be crazy, but this is what it's about. And, this is part of getting your hands dirty in a sense.
What was your perception of protest before going to a protest? Was it all violence or was it all peaceful? Like, what was your first perception of that?
My first perception of protesting was that I always thought that it was people intentions were peaceful, and it's a good way to speak out, that but I never knew what it came with, the real reality of it. But yeah, my perception was, okay, you go out there and you say what you want and, speak out, and yeah, and then at the end you come home. But in reality, you go out there and you see that there's a lot of people that are, are upset, angry, and that's okay to feel. That's not a bad thing, but you start seeing that there's a lot of people that are very passionate about wanting to make change, and that they believe that by doing this is going to trigger some kind of change. And then you see everything else that's involved, law enforcement, people that just come to cause problems as well. Because there's also, when there's protests, there's people that just have bad intentions, right? And you see that as well, and everything, and you're like, wow, this is it. This is what protesting is. And I was quite taken back, but I learned a lot from it.
Have you gone to any of the, I know that I've seen, there's this one particular person that I see, I can't think of his name on top of my head, but like when like street vendors get attacked or, maybe thrown off premises by like somebody,
right? And
then people show up at their house or things like that, and they take music and stuff like that.
Right.
Have you ever been to anything like that?
No, not recently. I had been to the first times when there was street vendors that were being harassed by a certain community or certain people, and that it was starting to create tension in the community between different communities. I did participate in, doing a buyout or going out to see what's going on, and there was very few. I didn't do a lot, but those recent ones I don't do much because personally I work. I have financial responsibility, so I have to balance certain things as well. But I did, but I don't do it no, I haven't done it. And, it's not because I don't want to support it, or it's not, I don't believe in it. It's just that I don't make time to do it because I myself have my own issues to take care of, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I do support most of the people that are out there trying to make change. And yeah, it's sad to see those things happen and you get really upset and angry, but there's always room for change. There's always room to make change. You just have to do what you got to do. Those people that are out there that are doing it, you got to give them props because they're out there. You might not like the approach that they're taking, and sometimes I don't agree with their approach, but they're doing something, and you have to give them credit for that. They're getting out of their comfort zone to do something that normal people that are just okay with what's going on don't do, right? So, I unfortunately, I don't participate on many of those, but I do support them, when they say, hey, there's going to be a buyout, can you share it? I'll share it or something if they need me to share it on the platform.
And what's a buyout?
Buyout is when you'll have either the vendor is there and people just come out and buy
of those.
Yeah, buy their products until they don't have it no more. One of the ones that I did participate really heavily on was the one that happened in Santa Clarita. That was a while ago when this street vendor got attacked by these two people that were, saying derogatory and racist things, and it went viral. And that person was, being harassed quite a few times. And I remember that was one of the ones that I heavily participated in because I remember the guy ran out of fruit, right? And because he had a long line, and I was like, man, we what's he gonna do? There's no more food, So I talked to one of the other persons that was there, and I said, hey, you think we should go get some fruit to help him out? And he's like, yeah, let's go. So, we went, and I was like, oh man, I'm like, I have to buy it because it's, and so me and this guy went half and half, and we didn't say anything to anyone, or we didn't, be like, oh, here's my receipt, we just did it. And, we just left it there by his, and, we told him, aquí está más fruta, aquí para que haga más. And he did, he was thankful, but no one really knew. And we kind of like wanted to keep it that way because, it wasn't something like, oh, look at us, it was more like, hey, let's help him out. And that's the way we helped. I don't remember the other guy's name. He had a big platform as well. And I forgot to get his information because I wanted to do a shout out to him, but I was like, man, where is this guy? I don't even know his name. I don't even know, but he paid half of the bill as I did. And I remember that was when we just had gone one of our first, what do you call it? Theo Sam gave us one of those, stimulus checks. And I remember I was like, well, I do have money for it. So let me go ahead and use it up for a good cause, So yeah, I remember that. And it was, it was a good feeling to be part of that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good thing to do for a food vendor.
Yeah. And we when I was growing up, and I grew up in Santa Ana, and one of the hardest hit neighborhoods of gangs and drugs, and I remember seeing street vendors, and I would see what they would go through, and I felt bad because they were just trying to make a living, and the things that, they would get taxed by the gangs, or they would get harassed by the cops, or, things like that. And it's hard to see, but,
And sometimes, most of the time, right, Amber, so the people working those like carts and stuff that you see on the side of the road, they're not even like the product and the equipment, the people working those carts, that property isn't even theirs. So if they get mugged, or if somebody steals from them, or steals product, I mean, some of them, because there are like independent ones. I'm talking more along the lines of like there's like branded fruit carts on the side.
This like investigation that they had done a while back, where they were showing that a lot of the fruit, hot dogs, even some of the flowers, they were saying that a lot of these vendors, like Gil said, it wasn't their carts, right? Or it wasn't their things to sell. A lot of them were getting so it was part of their payment from like getting brought to the States. So they were being brought by like Coyote, and the Coyote was the owners of these carts, and then these people work the carts in order to pay off
to repay,
like their debt of coming to the States. So I remember when I seen that, there was like a big like uproar too of people saying like, oh well, we don't want to continue to support these big people, making money off of them. But then we also have to think, it's like, if we don't support the vendor, how are they ever going to get their debt cleared, or how are they ever going to, be able to get kind of ahead off of, if that's the case, like we said, we don't know which carts it is or whatever, but there was an investigation that was done. So, it's still great to support them and, and be out there despite whose it is or whose isn't. Right. They're still trying to make a living and, do something for themselves.
Definitely. Yes.
I feel like I haven't seen many because there's not many over here.
Oh, in the
Inland Empire.
Yeah, I don't know many of.
There's probably stricter.
Yeah, maybe the stricter regulations
and
stuff
and the police. I mean, I remember watching stuff online, like with police, like taking these guys' fucking equipment and carts and putting it in the back of their trunk,
and throwing everything out.
Yeah. Really, dude?
Yeah.
This is where the tax money is going, ladies and gentlemen.
And it gets you upset because you're like,
I don't understand it. I mean, come on. There's more crime happening probably down the road with somebody else, and you're fucking with this guy.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot has to do with businesses surrounding maybe the person who's street vending, because they might feel that they're taking their business away from their clientele, and maybe they called the police on them. I mean, that has happened.
That happened, right? Yeah. Recently, too. Yeah. A video that went viral was like a bar or something like that, right? Yeah. Somewhere out in LA area.
Yeah.
Where they called the cops on the fruit vendor.
What?
And then the buyout thing happened again. Yeah. And then I think their business started going down because people started leaving reviews and people stopped going and things like that.
That happened. Another thing that I think is missing when we talk about street vendors is women street vendors. I remember when I was a kid and we used to have the tamalera go through our neighborhood and everyone knew her. And I think I was like about 10 years old or 9 years old when, we knew her by name and everything. And then we didn't see her for a while, right? For a long time. And we're like, I wonder what happened to her. We found out that she was actually raped. And I don't know, we never knew what happened, but we knew that they grabbed her and they took her and they raped her.
Oh, no.
And we, it was through word on the street that, that had happened to her. And it was awful. Because you already know the person and you've gotten a certain connection with them, and you understand that they're working hard, and then and she would be most of the time by herself, with the little horn and going around, and I was like, man, that's terrible. I mean, it hurts you because you had a certain connection with this person, and now they went through that, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking, and we never actually. No one ever knew what happened as far as who did it or what happened. But it was certainly very tragic, and we know that she lived, but we don't know what happened as far as who did it, where it was and stuff like that. She just stopped coming and we never saw her ever again, So I think for women, it's also maybe could be twice as hard because obviously...
It's scary.
It's scary. Sometimes they're out there by themselves in the dark, and and you just don't know. So I think it's very important to support our street vendors, regardless. What anybody thinks is just. I think first get educated on the regulations and the rules so that you understand what's going on and why it might have happened, but also so. You can find a way to help that person. And I think one of the best persons that's doing that is, you've seen him before. I think his name is Alex.
And that's who I was talking about earlier.
Right. He. This is why I think he's doing very good is because not only does
Do you know what his Instagram is?
I believe is enamorado. Enamorado. There it is.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. One of the good things about this gentleman is that he offers solutions to the problems that arise with street vendors, right? So not only does he bring awareness to what's going on, he offers solutions like, okay, let's do a buyout. Oh, okay, let's get this person pepper spray or whatever. And he does that work, and that's very, I think it's commendable because he's not just putting it out there, he's offering solutions.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the best way to tackle these kind of things that are happening.
Yeah, because you can talk about them all day long, but are you actually like helping the situation?
Right.
And this guy is bringing solutions to those problems that he's seeing.
Yes, he brings a lot. I mean, he's out there. He's out there putting himself out there, and he's doing a lot. And you just have to admire that. I admire it. And would I do that type of work? I don't think I would, because I'd be, I'm not. This guy is very, like I said, he's out there doing it and getting in uncomfortable situations, but he's doing, what he's got to do to make it happen.
How do you feel like with like what I'm like, how do I say it without saying it right?
Oh no, you can.
But like, okay, like let's say like Latinos for Trump, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna throw that out. That was, I was like, how do I say it without saying it?
Oh no,
but like how we were talking about earlier, right? It's always your own people, things like that. But I feel like that even enrages me more is when it's like, our own people calling the cops are on our own people, or things like that. Like how do you feel about that? Like kind of aspect.
The aspect is, to me, is that they're one is they don't the ignorance that they might be having and not understanding what that person is going through, or what is the hardships and the obstacles that what they're speaking out against is, or that they just don't care. Yeah, it's either or. But sometimes, like I've encountered hardcore Latinos for Trump and stuff like that, and if their approach is not respectable as where they come and they want to educate you on why they feel the way they do, and they're just hardcore and just spewing hate, then those are the people that you don't want to listen to.
Yeah,
you just like forget them. I don't have time for that. But if I've encountered one that says, look, man, I have a business, this is why I feel the way I feel, or this is why I support Trump, and they're not spewing hate, but they align with certain views, okay, I'll listen to you, right? I'll listen to what you say, and maybe there's something I can learn from it, because they're going to have valid points, right? But if they're going to just be like, screw illegals, come here and take all our jobs, and just spewing that kind of rhetoric, then there's no room for listening. I just think like those people are either ignorant or just don't care, right? Because you gotta, if you want people to listen to you, you gotta listen as well.
Right. The key right now is what I'm hearing is the key to actually listening is having a conversation.
Exactly.
Right? Asking questions on why a person believes a certain, certain follower or a certain president, or so it's conversation. You're asking the questions like, why do you believe that? Like, tell me why.
Yeah, that's exactly, because you want to, if you want to have conversation and dialogue, you got to be open for that, right?
Yeah.
I personally, I don't like Trump. I actually, to be honest with you, to me, that man represents everything about ignorance and white superiority.
Superiority?
Yeah, and that's
superiority.
Yeah.
I had my alpha brain.
Supremacy.
Supremacy. There you go.
There we go.
You can't even say.
Yeah, there he goes. Well, that was a different word. Superiority and supremacy.
Yeah.
They're same thing, right?
Kind of.
One, I think one is more of an oppressor, and the other one is just more. They think that
they're higher.
They're higher.
Yeah.
So to me, that's just when I hear or him speak or talk, it's just that for me, I don't have.
He's an entertainer.
Yeah,
he wasn't a president. He was an entertainer.
Yeah, that's basically what he was, and he didn't have no bars, no, how do you say, no rules, no regulations. He just spoke what he spoke, and he didn't care if he offended anyone or not.
He was a businessman.
Yeah, and to a lot of people that was attractive, and that was okay. Maybe that's what we need, but to me it was just like, okay, that guy's just.
That's exactly
crazy.
what America needed at the time of the pandemic. We needed a character to come into the White House and entertain us for the next 4 years or 8 years, right? Because did he get reelected again?
No.
I don't remember.
No, he didn't.
I blocked that out of my mind.
Oh,
His whole term, I blocked 4 years out of my brain. So I can't remember anything from 2016 to 2020.
No, it actually, to be honest, when we first were watching the news and stuff, it did have an impact on us because I did think about my kids' future. I did think about
it was scary.
Yeah,
it was wild
scary.
at some point.
And scary. And here's the thing that hit me the most was this thing that you had about American idealism, American freedom, and American, everything they taught you at school, like, America good, America, land of the free. And then you see this happen, and yeah, it is the land of the free, but it's, wow, you elected a person that spewed this kind of rhetoric and hate, and America elected him, and you're like, oh my gosh. It just hits you. It's just, you already know that, of course, American history, there's a lot to it, right? But it just hit you in the face. It slapped you and like, wow.
Like it's still happening.
Right.
I think that it's always been around. It was just concealed, right? Because people were like, okay, I'm racist, but I can't really be open about it.
Right.
And I think that he opened up this like Pandora's box where it's just okay now.
It was okay, yeah.
And I think like it kind of like changed things, and I think it changed things for me too. We're now like we're very fortunate to be in California. Right. I think even like within Los Angeles, because there's so many Latinos or so many people of color. We have other ethnicities that we live amongst, right? And it's not just predominantly one.
Right.
But traveling outside of the US, it's like this, like even us going to Arizona. We went to Arizona last year in November, and just having like California plates. It was like people flipping us off, looking at us, like, and then I was just
the Mexicans in Arizona are totally different than the Mexicans here.
Yes,
yeah, but even the like everybody, it was just like, whoa, where are we? You know, and I hate that we have to live that now, and we have that trauma of what he did and what it was around that time of being scared. Is today going to be the day that somebody comes up to me and says something hateful, or is today going to be the day where someone's going to come up to me and call me a beaner, or these things, like things that I didn't think would happen. And maybe maybe it's good that it opened our eyes up, but I don't think it was happening as prominent as it is now, where people just don't care. You know, they're open, and I stand for this. I stand for white power. I stand for, and it's okay. Like,
you just learn to live with it and go on. But I was also scared for my kids. I was just the fact that it was okay for people to come up to you and say those things, right? So it wasn't necessarily like you said, he's an entertainer, he does this and that, but the consequences of that is that it allowed for this to happen. And then I think one of the biggest things that hit me was, okay, America is not so the idea of freedom for all. It's really more like, okay, this, and it was kind of like all the things that you taught in school, the Pledge of Allegiance, and your justice for all, and you even if you were Chicano, you still felt a little sense of pride of being American. But then this happened, and it just kind of like, bam, actually, yeah, we'll have you, but you're really not welcomed. That's what kind of it took me. And I'm like, wow, so, not everyone's going to feel the same way I did, but that's what I felt when it happened.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, coming from what you said, Amber, what I think about is that, and during that time, we were people saw us in like a negative with a negative lens, right? Because of the color of our skin. Mm-hmm. Some people, there was groups out there.
Yeah.
But I think that perception of us also, we were taking notice that they were taking a notice of us in a negative light, that we came together because of it.
Yes, that's true. That's also true. So there's always that duality.
Yes.
Like you think about what's that black and white thing? The
yin and yang.
Yang. So and you think about that, and that's actually, it does happen. So with the bad comes with the good, and with the good comes with the bad.
Yeah, we turn that negative energy into something positive for us, because, okay, you think we're these type of people. Well, we're going to show you that we're not.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we're going to do it together. We're going to do it together and show you that we're not just all drug users. We're not just drug dealers. We're not just, we're not rapists. We're not murderers.
Right.
We're not these type of people.
Yeah.
We're also educators. We're also artists. We're also archivists. We're also podcasters. We're also entrepreneurs. We're also business people.
Yeah, definitely.
We're actors.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
we're influencers.
Yeah, definitely. I think that you're right. You're right on target in that. And I think we should take that too and think about it and reflect that as bad as it was, it's also, there was good, because there was unity more than I've seen in a long time.
I've never seen it ever in my life. To be honest, I'm going to be totally honest with you, Peter. I did not really understand the community up until then. And even now, being with Amber and partnering up with her with, what we do for the podcast and My Grito, the new podcast network that we're on. And now I see it. I see that there is a community, that we're building something. Yes. But there's also other communities out there that are built, and they're thriving, and just, with people that look like me. And that's wild. Yeah. That's cool to me.
Yeah, it is cool. It's you seeing it more. You're seeing it out there, and different podcasters, and they're talking about different things and things that affect the community, or things that they've done and grew up with, and you can relate to it.
Absolutely. But there's also, I don't just like how you were talking about how there's certain things that happen within the community that's negative. That also happens in podcasting, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know what? Yes, I've seen it. You're right. I've seen it on Instagram where you've got like, this podcaster said this about this other podcaster. Yeah. It's like, what? Like, they're already, there's already like this feud, and you're like, what? I was like,
does it make sense?
But I think it's just part of people. I think sometimes it's part of people using it to grow, And I mean, honestly, people will, if they want to grow really badly, they'll do things that pretty necessarily not.
But somebody will do anything just to get on top.
There you go.
And also what I like to think about is, here, at least on this podcast, we talk about ideas. We don't talk about people.
Right.
We talk about influencing the community. We don't talk about people.
Yeah. I believe you just recently had Flo a while ago. Flo?
Yes.
Yes, he's...
You know what? Hold on. That, I did talk to him. We did a few months back. He came into the studio and we did a good hour and 45-minute
that's great.
podcast. However, something happened on the engineering side to where the audio was cut out throughout the whole conversation, and I only had video.
He's
great.
Yeah,
I need to get him back again for that.
I think you should. I think he's a very intellectual person. He gives you a lot of reflection. Like, hey, you can think about this, but also look at it this way. And I really admire that guy. He's very, very intelligent, but he's also very. He'll be honest with you. I'll tell you, hey. So I like that about him, and I've known him since my Instagram started growing. He was one of the first supporters to, have lives and talk about things. So I admire that guy. He's really cool. I like him a lot. So.
I'm still kicking myself in the ass because of that fucking episode. You have no idea. It was so good.
Yeah,
it was
I could
great.
imagine, because he's just, there's a lot to talk about with him, and he certainly knows his history as well.
Absolutely. He has these like YouTube videos on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I think it's like History with Flow or something. I love those.
Yeah.
Like when he posts them on Instagram.
Yes.
I click on.
Yeah, he's got a lot of information.
A lot of good stuff too.
A lot of good stuff too. So you're inclined to, once you start hearing one of them, you want to hear the other one because he's got so much information.
Yeah, and that's the type of stuff that we need to listen to, like educational stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not only just it's educational, but it's education on our culture from somebody that's in the culture.
Yeah.
It's not just some
random guy.
Do I say it? Somebody of
a white person. I'll say it for you.
I was gonna say a pigment challenged person.
I'll say it.
No, it's true. I think a lot. I think that has always been brought out in conversations as to when you see that they call it cultural appropriation, right? And I think I've seen it a lot on TV, especially when you've got your these white artists that get our culture and then they start building on it, like selling something, and all of a sudden it's all viral. But when it's one of us that's doing it, it's like,
why does that happen?
It's like tequila.
Why?
It's like the tequila that's going around, right?
Yeah.
Every celebrity, every white person has a tequila.
Right.
And it sells off the shelf and everything. And then you go and then, nobody supports the actual Mexican, like, brands that are coming out. I mean, you have, like, your basic ones, but there's so many other ones too, right?
Yeah.
But we sell out the celebrity one because it's celebrity, and it's just like, how?
Exactly.
Why?
You're just astounded. How do you say it? Astounded by that. Like one example, you see the not to bring down or talk smack on Rachel Ray, but she did that pozole one,
oh
and
my God.
I was like, what the hell? It's not pozole.
That thing went viral.
Ever see if you can find the
pozole?
of her making it, but there's also
a lady that's reacting to it, right? A mom.
Oh, did you repost that? Somebody
No, I didn't.
Is it the one from Me Too?
Yeah, I think it is. It's Mexican moms reacting to Rachel Ray's pozole.
Yeah.
That was it was funny, and that's good example of what is going on, because our people have been doing this for hundreds of years, and one person does it that's not into that culture.
Look at her face. She is absolutely disgusted.
I'm going to play this and then come back to this conversation because we just had something happen to us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's where I'm getting to. We're on the same wavelength. Look at that.
No. Esto de tiro es una cochinada.
Una cochinada. I mean, she's not wrong.
Rachel Ray.
Rachel Ray, is she the one who cooks at the cooking channel? Sí, sale en la tele cocinando.
Give me some volume on that.
Yeah.
Cook. And today, you're going to be watching a video from her where she teaches you how to make pozole.
¿Cómo ella va a saber hacer pozole?
Bueno, necesito aprender.
Ay, bueno, dale.
We're gonna make a layered chili red pozole.
Ay, para empezar ya empezó mal.
We started bad.
Bueno, yo nunca le pongo frijoles a los pozoles. Este no es pozole.
Ah, ese chile ancho sí se usa. Tienes que quitarle las semillas muy bien.
Yo sí los limpio, pero a veces me gusta dejarlos para que piquen, ¿verdad?
Ese no es pozole, que no los engañen, por favor. No, esta vieja salió muy mal de la cabeza.
Ah, no, por favor. No, estás haciendo chili beans.
They're
Esto no es
genuinely
pozole.
upset.
Comino.
Yes, they're
¿Qué es eso? De por sí esta vieja ni nunca me ha gustado y con eso menos.
Ay, qué horror.
These moms are really funny. I watch all they react to like Taco Bell.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, they have a whole series. Yeah, I watch them. See, they're it's an extension. So this one's called Mama. Yeah, they have a.
Oh.
They're so funny.
Está muy fuerte.
I thought they were just like random
No.
women.
They're moms of actual people that produce things at Me Too.
Oh, okay.
So I think they brought them on for like one episode one time to do something like special. And from there, it kind of went on. And now it's a channel. Yeah, no, they have a bunch of videos. It's
Me
really
Too
funny.
is a great platform.
Yeah,
Me Too is
they're
a great
awesome.
platform. They're really, really great. So, what happened? You said something happened.
Do you want to tell them the story? Amber was very pressed
Okay.
about this.
Tell me,
She
tell me.
was.
I was very pressed. And I know, like you guys say, like, you know, and
You guys.
I'm like, you know, you get, no. I have, what am I trying to say? Oh, I'm a firm believer of like, there's no competition, right? I think there's always enough for everybody.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that's one of my things. It's like, okay, like you're doing it as well. Okay, great. I'm happy. I'm happy that, you know, you're doing something for yourself, that you're taking initiative and doing it. But what really, really, really grinds my gears
Share
is,
away.
like you were saying, like cultural appropriation, right?
Yeah.
So my family owns a coffee shop and we make churros, right? We make churros there. And I'm not saying we're the first people to ever make churros. Absolutely not, right?
Right.
But we pride ourselves in churros. Like churros are, you know, I know that they derive from like Spain or, you know, and then, but we do Mexican churros.
Okay.
Point is that we did an event a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to say, well, we did an event a couple weeks ago that was geared towards the Latino community, right? Mexican community. And they had asked us to come out and do churros. Unfortunately, we don't do churros on site. They just won't be the same. You know, we don't compromise them, things like that. So we took our drinks. And right across from us, right, this stand gets there. And I'm like, what are they selling? So they start selling churros. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that's cool, right? I was like, that's fine. That's cool. And then we went on their social media. And I went to see it. And it's owned by, like, the whitest man that you could ever see and know, like from Utah.
Just think of a white man, a bald white man
and he's
in your
not
mind.
He's not even like from like
And that's
California, you know, maybe from California, raised amongst like Latinos. You know, that happens a lot. And that's okay, like too, because they've
At least
adopted the
Miklo
culture.
grew up with Mexican cousins. This guy was
he's
not like Miklo.
Like from Utah, you know, everything. And I was like, okay, all right. So we started looking at their Instagram and everything. And then, you know, they do these little videos and then they put like, da 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 da. I'm like, okay. Like, you know, I'm like, all right, that got me a little upset. And then, you know, there's other ones and they're like churros and, oh, we do the best churros. And I'm like, oh, God, come on, like say churros, you know, at least. So it's just like piling up. And then the, what is it called? The straw that broke the camel's back for me was, so this man actually took his business to Guanajuato. So he took it to Mexico, and he's like, so-and-so churros now in Mexico, bringing authentic churros to Mexico. And I'm like, that's like fucking saying, hey, let me take a taco to Mexico and show you what a taco is. Like, I'm like, I can't, I have no words. Like, I just was so appalled by like, and then I'm like, I'm not going to go and say what I said, but you know, I think I was just very upset because to me, I was like, this already exists here, and it's done by people that live there, that are making a living, that's their craft, that actually put time and sweat and you know, authenticity in it. And you're gonna come from a country or to a country that's not even yours, and a culture that's not, you know, you don't know much about because you're mocking on your Instagram with music that's like distasteful and everything. It just snowballed for me, and it honestly it really upset me. I mean, now I sound upset, but I'm over it.
She's over it.
I'm over it. But to me, I just thought like that was really crossing the line, right? It was just like this is too much.
Yeah, I think one of the first things I got from you right there is that you understand the level of putting work into something that in your business that you know, like you said, churros, right? You would in your business of your family, and you understand that the work that you put in, and that's why I believe it's normal that you felt that way, because you understand what it's like to come up from the bottom and work your way up to that point, and for someone to just come and say, okay, this is a real churro, and you know, and the audacity to do it in the country and so forth, you have every right to feel what you do, because a lot of us feel like that when we see that happening, right? I think it was, what is it, Kendall or something that's doing tequila or something in Mexico.
Who's
Kylie, Kendall Jenner.
Kendall Jenner.
What?
Yeah, she's and you know.
Is she even old enough to drink tequila?
Yeah, she is.
Really?
Yeah, and even her promo is, I'll show it to you right now.
Yeah, and you think, I'm like, wow, you know, it's just, I don't know her personally, obviously, but just the privilege of just like, oh, I can come to Mexico and, you know, bring you tequila, and it's like, you know.
Is it good?
I don't even know. I haven't.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, and I'll tell you another story of my tequila encounter with a celebrity.
Oh, this is funny. Okay. Have you talked about this on the podcast before?
I don't think I ever have.
This is a really good story.
Like, okay,
it's really funny.
So if it brings you any peace, I did something for.
You did it for the
justice of Mexican tequila. So I was like at a nice, you know, kind of like hipster-ish, swanky place in Hollywood, right? My friend invited me, and she's like, hey, let's go. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we go and we sit at the bar. And I'm sitting at the bar, and, you know, I have my back, and then I see her eyes like open up really, really wide. And I'm like, what? And she's like, look at who's behind us. And I'm like, who's behind us? And I turn around, and it was Cindy Crawford. So I know a lot of people. I mean, you do you know who Cindy Crawford is? Yeah, right. Yes. But some people don't always. But she was like a supermodel, right? In her time and everything. Yeah. And I turn around, and I'm like, oh, hi. Like, you know, I for me, I was just like, oh, cool. Like, I get to sit next to her, and she's like, hi. And then she starts asking me questions like, oh, what are you guys eating? What are you guys drinking? And I'm like, oh, you know, and I was telling her about this drink. And then I was like, oh, what are you guys drinking? And she's like, oh, tequila. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, what kind? And then she tells me, what's her husband's? The George Clooney tequila. What is it called? Oh my God. I
didn't even know he had a tequila.
So
pull it up real quick.
George Clooney has a tequila, right?
Okay.
And it's older than the Kendall girls.
Okay.
Tequila. Watch, let me see. This one, the Casamigos, right?
Okay.
So she's like, oh, I'm having Casamigos. I had just had Casamigos for the first time like a week prior to that. And so I was like, oh, okay. But I guess I made a face when I said, oh, right? And she's like, why? What kind of tequilas do you like? So then we start talking about tequilas. And then she's like, oh, what did you think about this one? And I was like, can I be really honest?
So she asked you what you thought about Casamigos?
Casamigos, yeah, the one that she was drinking, because we started talking about tequilas and all that. And I had a little bit of drinks in me, and, the truth was coming out. And I was like, can I be really honest with you? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, it tastes like shit. Right? And her husband kind of chuckles, and then she laughs. And then I was like, yeah, I just think that there's better tequilas out there, right. Just better tequilas. And she's like, no, yeah, really sweet. And I'm like, can I take a picture with you? And she's like, yeah, we're still posing, taking a picture, everything, right? And then we're on our way home, and my friend and I are like, oh, I can't believe we met her, and she was so cool. She talked to us, very down to earth. So then my friend goes home and texts me, and she's like, we fucked up. And I'm like, why? What happened? And then she's like, do you know who her husband is? And I'm like, no. And she's like, her husband owns Casamigos with George Clooney. I was like, oh my God. So I told him to his face that his tequila was shit. And then she's like, yes. She's like, you told him that his tequila was shit. And they were so nice though. Honestly, here they, oh no, this is,
oh shoot,
this is the husband right
here.
Here.
That's him?
Funny. Yeah, right here on the right.
You were sitting
I was sitting
directly
with them.
across
We were
from
talking.
them.
We were having drinks. No, they were sitting next to me.
Oh.
We were at the bar.
Oh, wow.
And they were not drinking Casamigos.
They were drinking Casamigos.
Oh, they were? But you were not.
I was not.
Because it tastes like shit.
Because I was like, you know what? Can I be really honest with you?
That's a great story. That's awesome.
That's her tequila revenge
my
story.
My revenge for all Mexicans. No, I'm just kidding.
But now on tequila, there's so many different people are just coming out with tequila left and right.
Yeah, it's just I'm not much of a drinker. I don't drink. I don't drink a lot of alcohol. But if I do drink alcohol, it's usually liquor. But I don't drink a lot of it, so I don't really,
Right.
But honestly, you're right. I think a lot of that is cultural appropriation, and it's just that's what happens. And perfect example, someone can come up with a really creative purse. I've seen it where they come with a creative purse, and obviously it's, oh, mira, qué bonito, right? And you see it on the placita or something, and then you see someone else, a celebrity or a white celebrity, starting to use it or starting to, and it's all of a sudden it goes viral, and you're like, what the hell, and it's just, it is an it's just, it gets to you, it cringes you, but that's just, and that's why it's very important, I think, to point out on our platform, what I like to do is to promote small businesses of our people, get it out there. They have products and they have creativity as well. There's a lot of stuff out there that our people are creating and making. And one important thing that she just mentioned is there's room for all of us. There is plenty of room for all of us. There's no need for us to try to step on each other, because there's just plenty of us, And also we got to understand that if one makes it, we all make it.
Yeah.
Because our products is our symbol of us, is a symbol of what we represent, right? So I like to see that if one of us succeeds, then we are all succeeding. Right. So I think it's very important, but obviously one of the things that happens the most is el peor enemigo de un mexicano es otro mexicano. And that stands with any, if you're Latino or, Hondureño or whatever, the same thing, it's just always your own kind that, that don't support as much as, and they'll go buy a Gucci bag or something, not buy a bag from our own people, and these are the things that I think are important to point out is, let's support our people, our brand. Let's support our small businesses, and we can all thrive. We don't necessarily mean we're going to get profit from it, but it also means that our culture and our creativity is going to get, it deserves to be out there as well.
Right. When I had Chicano Hollywood on the podcast, he mentioned something that is very, very powerful. And he mentioned the Chicano Renaissance. And he was saying that the time is now. Like, we're having a Chicano Renaissance right now with influencers, with comedy, with actors, with podcasters, film directors, with all types of creative things.
Yes. And I think he came out at the right time, perfect time to do what he's doing. I honestly believe that he came right at the time that we needed him, because he's opening doors for a lot of
Johnny Murillo is a really cool guy. I would like to have both of you guys on the podcast.
Oh, that would be great.
That'd be fucking sweet, wouldn't it?
I would love to. Hey, if he's out here, just tell me and I'll come. I'll be like, hey, I'm feeling sick at work.
Wouldn't that be awesome to have both of them on the show?
That would be really cool.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Yeah, I've met him from Chicano Hollywood, and we talked about some of the things that one of the things that we pointed out was a lot of people don't know about Mexico taking part in World War II, right? They had Mexican pilots that were actually trained to do combat missions, and they called them the Azteca Águilas.
What?
Yeah, and there's a certain history about that, and what they did and how they trained, and they actually made an impact on the war. And we talked about that, and he wants to do something with that. And I'm like, yeah, man, that would be great. So, he definitely wants to make changes and wants to put our people out there, and that's commendable. That's admirable. I met him. He's a very cool guy. He's got it on, and definitely, hopefully, that he can keep growing and have these open doors for our people, because he's opening them.
Yeah.
I've seen them support a lot of our actresses and actors. One of my first, I got to work with an actress that was she's growing really fast in the Hollywood film, and I really hope that she keeps going, because she's got it. I did a photo shoot with her, and it was one of my proudest moments.
Really?
Because we created the vision. I had this vision of Anthony Quinn. He was a Mexican actor, and the only Mexican actor to win 2 Oscars.
Really?
But there's a mural of him in LA where he's just kind of like dancing, and it's on a big wall, right? And so when I talked to her, I said, I see this vision of taking this picture of you and him in the background. And so we put it together, and we talked about it, and I say, okay, we're going to do some makeup, Dia de los Muertos makeup, and have you all Katrina, and it worked out beautiful, and the pictures were amazing. To me, they were just that was the best work, one of the best times that I had a lot of fun with working in photography and just creating that vision. And she's that one right there. Yeah, exactly, that one.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow. We actually had to sneak inside because it's a parking structure in the front. And so we kind of had to try to sneak in to get further closer, and the security was there, and we were like, oh crap, but the security was actually pretty cool. He said yeah, take your shots and just, try to make it quickly, because you're not supposed to be here. But he let us take a few shots, and we were able to capture really good shots with that. But that was one of the best moments.
Wow.
Her name is Sonia Malcazar, and she's growing, and she's a very talented actress.
Is there anywhere we could see that picture?
Yeah, actually, it's.
Do you have it on your page?
I believe it's on my page, but I think it's on my Chicana State of Mind pics. So if you go on the Chicana State of Mind pics, actually, you know what? Okay, go see right there where it's the next one. The next to it where it says 100% and fire. You got to go back the other way. Sorry. Right. There's a
emoji.
I see it. Yeah. Click on that one.
This one? The 100%?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That one. So that one was at another mural across town. But the one with Anthony Quinn, I believe, is on the other page. Yeah.
So you do photography as well?
Yes. That's that's a passion that I discovered that I love, that I didn't know I actually had it in me. And so this is actually my platform as far as, the community wise, but I do have another platform that's just pictures. And that one is also Chicana State of Mind Pics. And that one has just all my work on photograph. And it's just I love that. It's a very how do you say, it's something that you feel very proud of. It's that one right there. Yeah, that one
fulfills you.
There you go. It fulfills me. I love it. And I just, any chance I get to do photography of that sort, I just dwell on it. And
they're really good.
Take them in. Thank you. But yeah, there's a few of them that I take a lot of pride in. And that one right there where the sombreros, with the two girls with the sombrero, that's my daughter right there.
Oh, one of these is your daughter?
Yeah.
This one, the one right here on the...
Yeah, that's my daughter. And we went to an event in Santa Ana, and we, put that together. And the middle person, she's a model as well. But I just love photography.
Wow, these are awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. So I don't remember if I have one of Sonia in there, but that's one of the things that I need to do, is to keep posting photos of my work, because I tend to work more on the community one instead of the photo one. But it's something I really.
You're only one person.
Yes, exactly. There you go. I'm only one person. And,
I like this one.
Yeah. That was
that one's nice.
There was a car show, right?
Is that at the where the sheriffs?
No. That's actually in that's in Simi Valley.
Oh, Simi Valley.
Yeah, that's at the Home Depot, and they had a car show there, and they told me about it. So I went up there, and I caught him, because they were closing out the car show, and he was taking off, and I said, "Dude, I want to capture this guy. He's out here hustling." And I just took a snap, and that was the picture, and it's just, there's a lot of pride in that, because you see that, that's someone's uncle or father or someone that's out there working in the sun, and, regardless if he's, permitted to be there or not, he's still there working and trying to make a living. And that's something to take pride in, Yeah. And so, yeah, definitely that's, one of my favorite pictures as well. But I take a lot of pride in the photography.
That's really cool.
And I actually have a lot of photographers to thank for that, because they taught me little things that I didn't know on how to work on photography. But I am very thankful for the lessons that they taught me, on how to do certain things or how to work certain angles and stuff like that.
Wow. And it looks good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it looks like you're very talented when it comes to
thank you. I think
having a camera.
To me, it's more, I look at it as the vision. What do I want to capture? If I see it in my head, then I project it on the camera, and that's what I want to capture. Sometimes.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
To say that out loud, to say something out loud, I have something in my mind, and I'm going to make it a reality.
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
It's crazy. There was one photo shoot that
us creatives are just fucking wild people.
Exactly. We're just, we go with our vision. And I think I had a photo shoot where I wanted to capture tattooing, but in old style, like the kind of a 60s and kind of that era. And I found a tattoo artist that had that kind of shop. And I went to talk to him, and
is that on your?
Yeah, that one's on that one. So I think I want to see it. Scrolling.
I got to see this bad boy, and you got to tell me what shop that is too.
Yes,
we're all about that time period.
Let's see if you keep going. It was one of my earliest photo shoots. Let's see.
Oh, that one's cool.
Keep going. There it is, right there. Okay, see that one where the two models are with their makeup?
Oh, right here.
Right. So the tattoo shop is called Grease Skull Alley. Oh. And the artist is his name. I think I got it on there. There's the name of this
models and frame location.
Yeah,
Fonzie Grease Skull.
Fonzie Grease Skull, and he's got a tattoo shop, Grease Skull Alley. I think it's Grease Skull Tattoo Alley. Mm-hmm. It's up in Whittier, Upland Whittier, and he's got a great tattoo shop, and he's very talented, very artistic, very beautiful work that he does. And I went and talked to him and asked him, I have this vision of this photo shoot, and I said your shop is perfect for it. And so I look.
Where's this located at again?
Upland Whittier.
Upland?
Yeah.
Uptown?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Uptown.
Okay.
Uptown Whittier.
Uptown Whittier. Okay, cool.
Uptown, yeah. And so I had one or two models. I talked to them, and they agreed to come out. And yeah, we did Dia de los Muertos makeup. He was part of the photo shoot. His daughters were also some of the artists, the makeup artists that they did the makeup artist on him. And then I had a couple other makeup artists that came out to do the models, and it was a beautiful work. It's a beautiful work. Unfortunately, what happens with me is I get so busy that I don't post a lot of the work, right? Because like you said, it's only me.
Yeah.
So I need to keep working on my photo portfolio, because I do put a lot of work in the vision that I want to show. And it takes time and money, but it's also a sense of pride when you see it happen.
And you're fulfilled at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Like just creating something that
yes.
you've always thought about, or you just have an idea. There's this weird sensation of this catch and release, because you're catching an idea, but you're also releasing that into reality.
Yes.
It feels awesome to do that.
Yes. I had another photographer with me that day, and his name is Frankie, and he's a very good photographer as well. He has a different style of photography, but we worked that day together, and it was a beautiful outcome of the work that he came out with, and I did too. And we're just astounded. We're like, man, this is beautiful, dude. This is awesome. You just like, I can't believe that we made this happen. The models, they did the work they did an awesome job as well.
Well, I'm free if you ever need a bald, overweight model with glasses. I don't think I'm doing anything next Saturday. So,
it's photography has got a big, like, how do you say, big space for anything.
Yeah,
you don't have to be a model. You don't have to be an artist of high caliber. Just have the vision, and with that's sufficient to do what you do.
See, I for one, I can't take pictures, but like, I'm not a photographer, but I like making stuff look cool out of nowhere. Like if there's a corner of the room and I'm like, that's a cool corner, I can make it even cooler. Right? I can put some like backdrops on there, and I can make it look cool.
Well, look at your studio. Look at your studio. I mean, that's exactly what you're just talking about, right? It's just your studio is cool. The moment I walked in, I felt this was really cool.
You felt the vibe?
Yeah, I felt the vibe. So what you're saying is exactly.
Yeah, that's why we got started a little bit late, because you're just like looking around and like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Which I gave you some time, and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I don't. sit back and maybe you feel this too, like you don't really like grasp like what you're emanating to somebody else until that person says, this is fucking cool. What you're doing is awesome. Like when you like just right now, like you before we started the podcast, you came in and were, talking about like all the artwork that I have. Yeah. All the little different things that past guests have left or have given to us for the studio. And sometimes like I was like, whoa, I was thinking about like you just walking in looking at that stuff. To me, I'm thinking, this is really cool then.
Yeah.
If Peter thinks this is cool, then okay, I think it's cool too. But sometimes, some days or some nights I walk around, I leave my bedroom and then I'll just stand right there and just look at this and just be like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
What's next? What's my next step?
What's the next step?
I'm outgrowing the space and it's time for me to
take the other step,
take the next step and make it grow. Because I can just stay in one place, but that's not me. That's not my character. Right. I, for one, am an animal, and I just want to see things grow. Yeah. Right. I want to see results for some things.
Yeah, and that's great. That's awesome because it just you're not complacent with just having you want to keep going, and that's the mind of a creator. That's the mind of someone that wants to create things, and that speaks pretty volumes about you. That you want to keep going, you want to grow, and regardless of what may happen, you still want to keep going, and you got to take that inside you and be admirable about that with yourself. We're our biggest criticizers, right?
Yes, 100%.
You just mentioned that, you look at your stuff and you're like, okay, not until someone tells you realize, right? The good example was the other day I was looking through photography, scrolling on Instagram, and I had tagged myself on my other platform. Mm-hmm. And I ran into one of my old pictures, and I'm like, wow, dude. So I clicked on it. That's a really good picture. I was like, damn, this guy really, that's cool. Yeah. And then I realized, oh, shoot, that's me. That's my work. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, then you realize, because you're someone said you're looking at your work without judgment, right? Yeah. You're looking at through somebody's eyes, but you realize, wow, that was me. So I definitely get you. And that happened to me just recently. And I posted about it on my other platform. I said, I think if you scroll down, you'll see it. Keep going. Right there. Right there, I said, I was scrolling to photography on IG search and ran into a platform that I was tagged on. Forgot it was my other page that I had tagged myself in and saw some old pictures and just was blown away at some of the work that person's photography was like. And I was like, bro, this is pretty good. And then I realized it was me, right? So you don't appreciate your work until you've seen it through somebody else's eyes or just seen it in a while.
Right. Yeah, I think right now I'm trying to not seek that and really appreciate it on my own. Yeah. And that's hard.
It is.
That's hard for a creative person or an artist or somebody that's creating something. Because like you said, we are best critics, worst critics.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're so hard on ourselves.
Yes, we're so hard on ourselves because, we're like, it looks okay, but when somebody else says, wow, that's pretty good, you're like, oh, wow. So you start feeling better about it, right?
Right.
But yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
So what's your goal? What's the next step since we're on next steps, what's your main thing right now for Chicano State of Mind?
My next thing is to write about what I've been through in my life, to share stories of things that I went through when I was a kid. And I think sharing part of trauma and part of life stories is important so that others understand that it's okay. So I want to share those and actually bring them into vision, maybe create small videos or small, clips of things that we can relate to. Because I think it's important to understand that a lot of people will not admit, but a lot of us have trauma when we were small. And it's never been, we either don't address it or we don't heal ourselves from it because we just keep going on with our lives. We just keep growing and just going with the flow of just being us. And, okay, that's part of life. That's part of growing up. Just put it away and keep going. But sometimes that can haunt you and come back and really bite you. So I think sharing stories and letting people know that, it's okay to feel this way or it's okay to think this way, just as long as you grow and you heal from it. So I think that's the next step that I want to do. Start making small videos and share my vision of just things that I would like to share, pretty much. I would love one day to actually work, I'm not saying not work, but mostly collaborate or just in conjunction with Chicano Hollywood. That'd be a great opportunity just to be in that atmosphere and to network and talk with those people and share ideas and stories and stuff like that. That's something I would definitely love to do next.
If there's anything that myself or the Mind Buzz or Mind Buzz Media can help out with that, then by all means, I'm here to support you and what you do for the community.
Thank you. That's I appreciate that and very, very thankful for that.
Peter, thanks for coming on and doing the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was an honor to be on here. It was it was a lot of fun sharing all our ideas and stuff like that. If you guys want to follow our platform, we've got 2 platforms: Chicana State of Mind Inc. platform, and you can just follow us with that. Or we also have Chicana State of Mind pics, and just go ahead and give us a follow. And like I said, we support small businesses. If you would like to be part of that, hit us up, and we can definitely help share your business.
Cool. Thanks, man, for coming out and doing this.
Thank you. And thank you for checking out my work.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's a lot different meeting you in person than through the virtual meeting that we first did.
Yeah, a lot of people said that it's good to finally put a face into the platform, and I've gotten that before. So yeah, it's great. Definitely great.
It's good. Amber, do we have anything coming up? No, we have an open mic this week.
Oh shoot, I forgot.
Yes, open mic on Thursday in Paramount at Horchateria. I will be hosting comedy, poetry, and musica, and coffee. Come get some churros. All right.
Yeah, come on out. Support the community and local talent.
Support the arts.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we'll have a lineup of our June events soon. So
I'll let you guys know. Yeah. All right. Why does this seem like it's a lot longer today?
It is a lot longer.
All right, there we go. The Mind Buzz. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Mind Buzz podcast. Subscribe to the Mind Buzz YouTube channel and watch full podcast episodes. Keep up with the hosts, guests, and upcoming events by following the Mind Buzz on Instagram @the Mind Buzz. See you on the next one.